So have you ever heard of black cats walking in front of you and it's supposed to be bad luck, or broken mirror and you have 7 years bad luck? That's what we're going to be discussing tonight. We're going to be talking about superstitions and their origins. And so if you want to know those answers, you got to keep listening to our episode. And maybe you'll be able to find a superstition that you're interested in and you want to share it with us. You can always send us an email at soupit@gmail.com. All right. So I'm Kathy, the host, and I'm here with Kevin,
Hello, everybody.
Mika,
Hey,
Heather,
Hi.
and this is Wicked Darkness with Soupit. So, Heather, we're going to be talking about superstitions. And we got a bunch of superstitions that we're going to be talking about tonight. You want to tell us a little bit? People probably know what a superstition is, but you want to give them a little bit more detail on that?
Yeah, so a superstition is a belief or practice that is considered irrational or supernatural by non-practitioners. It can also be defined as a belief or practice that results from ignorance, fear of the unknown, or a false conception of causation, an irrational attitude of mind toward the supernatural nature or God.
So my question for you guys, are you guys superstitious at all? No?
Not
Mika?
really.
No?
Uh,
No?
I'll walk under a ladder. I'll break a mirror. It's all good.
I'll pet a cat.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll be the one that'll sit there and say, yeah, if I spill salt, put it over my shoulder, or, not so much a cat. I try not to go under ladders, but when I was a firefighter, I really didn't have a choice because I had to butt the ladder from underneath. So they
Yeah.
kind of made me go under a ladder. So I guess, that one kind of was out, but I learned not to look up when I'm under a ladder because stuff falls on top of your head, and that's why I had a helmet on my head. But other than that, I never really had any bad luck per se. And so the superstitions have been around a while, though. I was kind of surprised at how long. I mean, I understand superstitions were around during like medieval time, but it actually goes back even farther than that. So, we'll talk about the evil eye. We'll talk about, like I said, the ladders, walking under the ladders. Maybe it didn't have bad stuff happen because I was only halfway under. I didn't walk under the ladder. I was under the ladder and then it came back out the same side, maybe. I don't know. But speaking of that one goes back to the Egyptians. I didn't know that. But it wasn't so much like, okay, so you walk under a ladder and you're supposed to have like bad luck or whatever. But it was like more than that. It was bad luck, but it was triangular shapes. So anything which makes sense because when you put up a ladder, you butt the ladder, it's technically in a triangle from what it's up against, right? So anything that made like a triangular, yeah, say that 3 times fast. Triangular shape, they were really superstitious about it. So, and it was like they were saying that it brings down like misfortune, it summons up malevolent spirits, and that they've been able to trace it all the way back to Egyptian times, which I thought was weird. Because when you think about it, what's in Egypt? Pyramids are, yeah, they're triangles. They're triangular shapes. So is it not good to go under a pyramid then?
Only if you're dead.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, you think about it, it's like you built something. And then it also goes back, they believe that it also goes back to Roman times, which, okay, Roman times around that time period or whatever, that they did the same thing. They thought it was associated with the divine. So if you were to walk underneath the ladder, it was seen as like a direct affront to the gods, which is interesting because I don't know. I don't think I've ever really put a lot of thought into superstitions, like where they all came from and why they started the way they are. And then also it goes to like medieval Europe, where the ladders were no longer associated with the divine. It was more that they resembled the gallows.
Yep.
So people didn't like the ladders and walking under the ladders because it's like walking under a gallows. Understandable, you know. But then walking under the ladder became known as this terrifying way to anger the spirits, and that there was always that fear of going under the ladder, and you're going to now have really bad luck and misfortune. So I don't know. I guess now I'm going to look at ladders differently. Like now I'm walking under a gallows or, a triangular thing. Kevin, you were talking about that you like the number 13.
I love the number 13.
And everybody talks about Friday the 13th. Now we've
Love
got
it.
Friday the 13th coming up in December of this year, 2024.
Yeah.
And everybody kind of looks at Friday the 13th as, oh my gosh, that's a bad omen. Have Friday the 13th, bad things will happen that day. Tell us a little bit about Friday the 13th. Why do you like 13? Is there a
I don't know.
specific reason?
No, I think I've always just kind of went against the grain of what people don't like. It's like, oh, I like that then. So I don't know. 13, I've always liked that number ever since I was a kid. And I don't know if that maybe came from watching Friday the 13th, but just even has a nice sound to it, so it's always been appealing.
Yeah, and like you said, Friday the 13th, they made it popular pop culture with Friday the 13th movies and stuff like that. You know, but I didn't realize that Friday the 13th, it was like a Christian like based superstition. Did you do any research on the Friday the 13th as far as the superstition of it?
So only that it was believed that Jesus was crucified on a Friday, and therefore that day of the week was unlucky. And people there's a phobia associated with the number 13 called, I hope I can pronounce this, triskaidekaphobia.
Yeah, triskaidekaphobia.
Triskaidekaphobia. Boy, say that 10 times fast.
Right?
That people just don't like the number 13. They have a fear of the number 13. So there's that history as well. And some historians believe it dates back to ancient times when 12 was seen as a perfect number, and it was being used for things like calendars and certain measurements, and this made its number 13 unlucky, which seems really kind of odd.
Yeah.
And oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. And some have claimed the idea 13 is unlucky dates back to Norse mythology, where Loki arrived as the 13th guest to a divine dinner party, upsetting the other gods and introducing evil and suffering into the world. And others have pinned the number's unfortunate reputation on Judas, who was the 13th guest at the Last Supper.
Poor Judas and Loki.
Yeah.
Like the unwanted ones, because they don't like you. You're the bad one. You're the one bringing the suffering.
And the odd man out.
Yeah. So, yeah, that superstition apparently is, it goes back, like they were saying, it goes all the way back to, Christianity, started Christianity almost. I think they've like gotten that one going all the way back to like the 14th century even, where that was where it became more popular. It was like 14th century. But it also has ties with the Knights Templar too.
Yep.
Is that correct?
Many of them were subsequently tortured and executed, with some being burned at the stake, which people could argue is pretty unlucky. And on Friday, the 13th of October, 1307, King Philip IV of France ordered the arrest of the infamous Knights Templar.
Yep.
So, I could see why it would be a bad day for people. Like they don't want to remember that, like a Memorial Day almost. Because there's people that are still they're able to track their ancestry, all the way down to the Knights Templar. So for them, it's like, okay, yeah, my ancestor died on that day. But you could always turn it into a positive at some point too. Kind of like 666. That's always supposed to be associated with Satan, and it's supposed to be bad. And so I've even had somebody that I worked with, I went and I bought some food in the cafeteria, and my price that came up was $6.66. And she just was like, absolutely not. Oh my gosh, we can't do that. You need to buy something else, or you need to take something else off. And I'm like, what? Like, can't have this number on here. And I'm like, okay, give me a discount.
Yeah.
There's a candy bar. I don't know what you want me to do, but she
Behind
was
somebody in a gas station line that did the exact same thing. They had $6.66 and they grabbed whatever candy from underneath, and they just couldn't live with that number.
right. And for me, it's kind of like, okay, well, all right, I got 666 on there. I'm not going to look at it as a negative. I'm going to look at it as a positive. All right, I got this lucky number. It would probably be better if it was 777 on a slot machine, but you do what you can. But yeah, she was just adamant that she ended up, I didn't even order anything else. She just ranged my price up to something else. She like added like 5 cents to it. I'm like, okay, discounts, not raise my price.
Right.
Yeah.
Where's the coupon?
Right. I'm like, I get an employee discount for a reason, lady. That's not just, up it again. But because she did not like the number 666, I could not have my food until that number changed.
Oh my God.
See, and I personally like Friday the 13th because that's when they have all the tattoo and piercing deals. So
Oh yeah.
You gotta look at all the positives of it. So it's not always that bad.
Lucky day.
Right, right. And for us as paranormal investigators, we like, going out and investigating on Friday the 13th because that just seems to be a lucky day for us. I think it's more of a nostalgic thing because, I've investigated on those days and didn't really get much on some days, and some days it was just like any other day, but it's still the cool thing. Yes, I did an investigation on Friday the 13th. And no, Jason did not come and kill me, or so yeah. With that, there's also the evil eye. You guys ever see the evil eye? Now people use them in jewelry and stuff like that. They'll have that little eye on the jewelry. A lot of them will have like a hand, and in the middle of the palm will be that evil eye.
Yep.
That they were able to find on clay tablets all the way back to the 7th century BC, where they unearthed it and they found the evil eye was on there. But it was to ward off any of the effects or whatever. So that one stretches back 3,000 years, which is crazy to believe. But again, that one was to, bring down harm and misfortune. Plato even wrote off the evil eye from the Greek mythologist. Yeah, I can't even think. Plato was the philosopher. There we
Right.
go.
Mhm.
Greek philosopher. I'm like having a brain fart right now. But he wrote off the evil eye and its impact on human psyche, and seems that the belief was kind of like spread across the Roman Empire even. And then it turned into, instead of like a negative thing, it turned into a positive thing where it was more of a protective amulet. And that's when you would see that evil eye on things. So again, depends on how people are looking at things. It's a superstition, but are you going to spin it off as a negative thing or a positive thing? And they ended up spinning the evil eye into a positive thing. And even like I said, today, people wear jewelry that's got the eye on there. And I've even seen people that they'll have one of those, kind of like a crystal even, and it cracks and they're like, oh my gosh, what does that mean? And some people will sit there and go, well, it did its job. It was protecting you. And once it felt that it had protected you enough, it broke. So you don't need that protection anymore. So again, positive, negative, you know. So are there any other ones that you guys can think of superstitions like the black cat? We were talking about black cats walking in front. People will see black cats, and I didn't realize that black cats are really hard to get rid of in a shelter. Like they are very hard to adopt out. Don't want them.
Wow.
Which I thought was weird.
They also
I
don't
love a
adopt out black
cat.
cats during October because they have a fear of people using them for rituals.
Oh,
Yeah, I've heard of that too.
I had a black cat once, and she was we called her Lucky even. She had one eye,
oh,
and she was just the sweetest thing. Yeah. Well, we called her Lucky because she crawled under my dad's truck one time when she was a kitten. My dad didn't know that she was under there and dragged her for like 1.5 miles.
oh no.
Yeah. And
Jeez.
then he heard something and he found her, ran her to the vet. They were able to save her life, but they couldn't save her eye. So she ended up living to the ripe old age of 16. She was a mama many times over. Just never go on her side that she was blind because she would swat at you. If you went on the side that she see you, she loved you. But she was a black cat, all black, sweetest little thing. Unless you went on her blind side, then she didn't like that. But like you said, they kind of go with the witches and demons and sacrificial things. And yes, Bella, you're black, but you're a dog, honey. Bella has to get in every episode, I swear.
She knows.
She knows. And cats are hard to, shelters seem to have a lot of cats. So they seem to be very hard to rehome anyway, because I think there's so many of them. It's not like, dogs have a big litter, but cats seem to have bigger litters of kittens. So there's more of them, it seems like. And people just don't want to take in cats all the time. That and cats are very, how would you say that they're very independent. So they, a lot of times they don't want you to touch them. Dogs, they're all in your face. Cats aren't. And some people are just like, no, I want a dog versus a cat. But cats were Egyptians. You go back to the Egyptians again, and cats were like gods to them. They were revered. They were part of the culture of the divine. They've even had goddesses with cat heads on them.
They'd mummify cats too.
Yeah, they just found a sarcophagus. They had x-rayed and there was a whole cat inside.
All right. So black cats walking in front. I've never had anything happen with the black cat walking in front of me, crossing my path. But now people are like, black cats aren't that bad. Some still have their little moments or whatever. I didn't know that in Scotland and Ireland that black cats are considered good luck.
Yep.
I did not know that.
I did not know that either.
And you've been to Scotland and Ireland,
And
right?
Ireland. Yeah, been to both.
You're dropping
Need to
the
go
ball on
back, I
this
think.
one. Yeah, you gotta go study some more over there,
I was saying, put that on your tour list.
right?
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, black cats, they carried out, they were known as, the sidekicks of witches, and they brought in the demons and stuff like that. And I didn't also know that during the witch trials that they were killing cats too, because they thought that they were part of the witches. So there was like
Excuse
this
me.
mass killing of not only the witches, the supposed witches, but also the felines. And I didn't realize they did that. But, that's what happens when people think that things are negative. So, yeah. Actually, now that we have somebody here that's from a different country. Alex, I have a question for you. Alex is from France. Alex, are there any superstitions that you guys have in France that things that how would I describe this to you? Yeah, like things that bad things.
The most French one is put bread or baguettes, but
Mhm.
upside down on the table. You can do that.
What happens? Okay, so he says putting a baguette upside down on a table is bad. They don't do that in France.
It's referred to the sin of Jesus Christ, because with the bread
Uh-huh.
and we can just, if we put it upside down, it's like the Satan sin, it's like the evil sin.
Okay, so with the bread during with Jesus Christ, and they put the bread down and they put it upside down, right? They're saying that is a bad thing, that it's the
Yeah.
opposite of Jesus.
Yeah, because there is some people who did the same drawing, but with the bread upside down.
Okay.
But instead of Jesus, it was the evil.
Okay, so then they would put the bread upside down and they would draw on it, but instead of it being for Jesus, it was evil stuff. See, I would have never known that unless Alex was here, because he's from France. So now do not put a baguette upside down on the kitchen table. Okay, dinner table, don't do it. That's bad. Breaking of a mirror, 7 years bad luck, or a broken soul. Did you guys know about the broken soul part of a mirror? I knew about the 7 years.
That
Yeah,
would
I knew
explain a
about the
lot.
7.
Yeah. Broken soul. So I kind of was looking into that one, and that one goes back to Greek and Romans, right? And that's where it's supposed to be like, if you break the mirror, you're looking in the mirror, you're whole, but then you break it, you're no longer whole. Kind of makes sense. And then that leads to bad luck. But I did not realize that where was it? In Asia, the superstition is even creepier, where they say that oh, that one's different. Never mind. That one's I'll talk about that one in a minute. But actually the breaking of the mirrors in ancient China, the mirrors were played as a role of predicting the future. So through divination and stuff like that. And then rather than damaging the soul, breaking the mirror was seen as disturbing its connection to the spirit world. Where we were talking, Kevin, you were talking about mirrors facing each other, right?
Hmm.
Those of us that are in the paranormal field, we know that when you have two mirrors and you face them, it's the images is infinite. It just keeps going on and on and on. So what happens is it creates what we call a portal. So that's where spirits can come through the mirror, and they're now free because they're stuck in between these mirrors. Hi. They're all looking at me now.
It's a very cool effect. I highly recommend
Oh,
trying
yeah.
it once just to see what that's like.
Same thing with a camera to a TV. It's an infinite camera image.
See, my aunt used to have a lamp that had a mirror on it, and you turn the light on. You'd have the one that could be on the base, like the base of the lamp, and then there you'd switch it again, and then the lamp itself would come on. But the base part of it had a mirror in it, and it did like the infinite,
Yep.
image and the lights. So it was, as a kid, I was always playing with that. My aunt would get mad at me and yell at me about messing with her lamp, but it's okay. But yeah, they can create a portal. And I've actually been at a location that they actually made a portal room.
Oh, cool.
They took all these mirrors and they put them all facing each other inside this room, and they called it the portal room. The problem with that was that it ended up bringing in a negative spirit, and we actually had to deal with that negative spirit while we were there. And there's a video that I've shared before where I'm not a big fan of orbs, but this one was very questionable as far as what it was doing. Yes, I'm talking about Randolph. My daughter is sitting there looking at me because she was on that investigation, so she watched it happen. And during that time, they have it was supposed to be a spirit that came through the portal, negative spirit. He was supposed to be more like a shadow spirit. The problem was he was tormenting one of the other spirits that stayed in the asylum. It's not an asylum as you would think, a psychiatric type thing. This was a poorhouse, basically. And she was stuck there. Why she has been stuck there, I don't know. That was no, not Ida. Ida was downstairs.
Starts with an L.
Lola.
Lola.
There we go. Had to get the right spirit. They had several spirits we were talking to when we were there. So Lola, she ended up in real life when she was alive. She was molested by her stepfather, ended up getting pregnant multiple times. She ended up coming to the poorhouse. She got molested again while she was at the poorhouse. She didn't have all her faculties. Okay. So they ended up making a nursery out of her room so she could have her babies with her. She ended up dying there, and her spirit stayed there. So this negative energy that they brought in, this negative spirit from the portal room, would torment her. And we were in the hallway and we were talking to her, saying that we were going to protect her while we were there. And he didn't like that. He ended up showing himself. And that's where the orb came into play and kind of went between me and one of the other investigators. Later on, we were packing up for the night and everything, and we're shutting everything down. And this thing decided it was going to start to come after us. And so it was one of those, put your foot down, you're not coming near us, this is it. But the portal room, if they didn't create that, this spirit would have never came into play. So that part there, not that it's a superstition, but it was negative. That one I can't turn into a positive. The only thing that was positive is that he could not go into her room. He would stand outside her room and torment her that way. Yeah, I don't know why he wasn't able to go into the room. They never were able to figure out, and we couldn't figure out why he couldn't cross over. I don't know if there's some kind of protection on her room or what, but he could not cross that threshold, which that's the only positive out of it. But that they didn't have any, when I looked at it, they didn't have any broken mirrors in the portal room. They just had mirrors facing each other in a circle. And then they did have chairs in between. You didn't go into the portal room, did you? You did? Okay. So they had two chairs inside the portal room. So you were also facing all those mirrors too. So that, Trinity was saying she didn't like that. There was a couple places that she didn't like in there. The workbench. Yeah.
Well, I was going to mention about the mirrors. I know like in like Jewish religion as well, like you're supposed to cover mirrors and open the windows so that the soul can leave and doesn't get confused. Like that's part of, I've been told working in healthcare that if you have someone who is Orthodox Jew, you're supposed to cover mirrors. You are supposed to like open windows as best you can to let the soul ascend.
And I've heard that also where they can't cross over. Like we would cover, if somebody had passed away, then we cover the mirrors so that they are no longer trapped. And they're not stuck in that location or whatever. And I don't know if it also was just with the Orthodox Jewish community or if there was, because I know they did it back the turn of the century, they would do that as well. So, because they used to have, instead of funeral homes, they would have the funerals in the people
In the home.
in the
Yeah.
home, the family's home itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's how you get living rooms.
Yes. Yeah.
And French doors.
Right. And you can
Because they had to
see
bring the
like
casket through.
the older homes that have like almost like a turret type of look to the outside of it, those were usually the rooms that they would have the funeral or the wake in.
Yep.
And I know my great grandparents, they did that. They had their funeral or their wake, I should say. I shouldn't say funeral, their wake in the home. But did you guys know about whistling at night?
Yep.
The superstition of whistling at night? You did?
Yeah.
I did not know that one.
Me
What'd you
either.
guys hear about that one?
When?
Like, what did you hear about it?
Oh, supposed to keep spirits at bay. From what I understand.
Yeah, I did not know that that was a thing. Like, they're saying that whistling at night is supposed to be in some cultures bad luck. But like you said, it's a way of, they're saying it's a way of calling spirits and supernatural beings into one's presence. Like, come on, it's okay, here I am. I'm gonna whistle at you. It's like, when I whistle at my dog and I want my dog to come by me, apparently whistling at night, I'm saying, hey, I want you to
Right?
come into my space. And that one there, sailors too. I didn't know sailors don't like that.
Yeah.
And
Bad luck.
sailors are very superstitious.
Oh yeah. Can't have a banana on board either.
Really? What's the
Mhm.
banana?
I don't remember exactly what it is, but women and bananas. Big no.
Yeah.
I knew about the women. I didn't know about the banana. Well, then how do they ship any bananas? How does that work?
As long as they're in crates, I believe. It's completely enclosed, but a loose banana, bad luck.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I can see if the banana got loose and you go to walk and it's, that whole cartoon thing, you step on it, you slide across, you go overboard, I can see that. But I've never heard that before.
Yep.
But yeah, they consider whistling at night an ill omen and
Yep.
that it's not recommended to do at all. But yet they have the whistles. So does that count during dinner time back in the day when they would, oh wait, no, they used the horns, didn't they? When they were telling people that it was dinner time. They did
Depends on which era. The
Yeah.
whistles were long before.
Well,
And I gotta wonder if it's something similar to the sirens, possibly, because they would lure sailors to their deaths.
but aren't this with with that happening, wasn't that more of them singing though? The sirens? Weren't they singing? Did they whistle? I thought they sang.
No, they sang.
They sang, but I think the whistling was mimicking of the high pitches and would
Oh.
confuse them.
Okay. And then okay, I might not be that out of the four of us, I'm more superstitious, I guess, because in my library I have a horseshoe that I've nailed to a piece of wood.
Mhm.
And it has on there that I've got, blessings and stuff like that. And that one there is also a superstition.
Yep.
Yeah.
Depending on which way you have the
Yes.
prongs.
Yes.
Right. So if you have them up, so the opening is up, that part there, then you're welcoming in all the good luck. But
and your
if you
luck
have
doesn't
it,
spill out.
right, yeah, everything will spill out. And then you're supposed to have them. My dad, when I was a kid, I never realized what he had, why he had it. but in our my dad owned a store, a business, and he had a horseshoe. And I never understood why it was always like up. But now knowing that, if you had it down, then all the bad stuff comes pouring into the building, and that's not something he wanted to have. But yeah, I have one of those. I've had that for years now. And surprisingly, it has not fallen off, because usually if I make something, sometimes it's not the sturdiest. My husband's not listening to what I'm saying. When I build something, sometimes it's not the sturdiest. So the horseshoe has not fallen.
What are we talking about?
The horseshoe in the library.
Oh,
See, I told you he wasn't listening to me.
oh, God.
It hasn't fallen.
No, it's on the wall.
Yeah, do you guys open up umbrellas
Yep.
Oh yeah.
inside in the buildings and stuff?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
No. See, there's one.
No,
Heather says no.
nope. My mom always told me that if you open an umbrella inside the house, it means that rain's coming and it will attract bugs.
See, I heard if you open an umbrella inside the house, a family member will die.
Well, that got dark.
I know it did.
I went with rain. You're like murder.
But you're not wrong. You're not wrong on that whole thing. It's they talk about, now I'm like losing my voice here. They talk about if you open up, this is Victorian time. If you opened up an umbrella inside, that it could lead to an accident, damaged property, even an injury to yourself or somebody in your family or somebody around you or whatever. It was always associated with bad luck, and that it also was an excuse to stop being so clumsy too, I guess, from breaking things, because you're popping the thing open, which would be my kids. This is where I was going to tell you that the Asian superstition from Asia is the creepier one. And it kind of goes with what you were talking about, Mika, where it's, if you open an umbrella indoors, it's considered like a taboo type thing, where it resembles the actions of a funeral back then, where they would put the canopy over the body of the deceased person. It was kind of like you opened up an umbrella, you're now covering the deceased body. So they believe that if you open an umbrella indoors, especially at night, that you could trap or anger the spirit of the dead. And that leads to bad luck. And they're saying that also in the Japanese folklore, that it's a kind of demon. And this demon, I'm not even going to try it. I'll try it. Yokai?
Yokai. Yep.
Okay. So, all right. See, yay me. So that one there, I didn't realize that takes the shape of an umbrella. The demon itself takes the form of an umbrella and likes to cause mischief. So now you go to grab an umbrella. Are you opening up a demon?
He's in for a big surprise.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna shake you out when I get those. But now they're saying, today you shouldn't open an umbrella indoors. It's, considered bad luck. But it also is a case of practicing good mannerisms. And just don't do it, because, you get the floor wet and everything else wet that you just know. And you knock things over and break them, which is usually the case in my household. Because my children would try doing that when they were little. I mean, no, please don't, because you break things. Because they'd be like swinging it around, like dancing in the rain type thing. And I'm like, this is not the musical. Could we not, you can't, it's not a dancing partner. But yeah, so I didn't know that there was a demon that was in the form of an umbrella. So yeah, we'll leave you with that one. That's the only one that I know that has like a demon involved in it.
And when it comes with a yokai, there's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot.
See, I know more of the Norse. Well, I'm Norwegian, so of course I'm going to know more of the Norse mythology. Um, but it's kind of interesting to find out different cultures and their mythology and their folklore and stuff to see what happens. Um, like crows and ravens in North mythology. Odin, the Allfather, he has two that are with him all the time. And it's Hugin and Munit, which in our household, Bella and Sue, our dogs, they're both black dogs. My son will call them Hugin and Munin because, they're kind of like Odin's crows. But Hugin is more of the thought and Munin is more of the memory. And he lets them loose throughout the world and collect things. They fly around and they collect knowledge for him and then bring it back so that that's why he's the All-Father and he knows everything. But now people are more talking about ravens and crows and stuff like that, more of pagan.
Hello.
And I think especially since Edgar Allan Poe wrote The Raven, it's now especially Halloween time. They think of the ravens and the crows are more supernatural.
Yep.
And not that it's a negative thing, but that's what they associate it with. And they also talk about when you have a bunch of crows that are put together, they're known as a murder.
Yep.
So,
I love that.
my son will sit
I
there.
want one.
There's like 5
Oh,
crows
yeah.
in the yard, and he's like, "There's a murder in the yard."
Murder.
But yeah, I mean, there are all sorts of different superstitions that are out there. And it's always interesting to find out where those superstitions start, where the origins are, and how did they come to play in today's society. And I thought that would be a great thing to talk about was superstitions,
Mhm.
especially since, it's Halloween season. Is there anything that comes to mind when you guys, now that we've talked about these superstitions and gone through everything, is there anything that like pops into your head now, like the pop culture or anything like that?
Well, I was thinking about like that old, like when I was younger, it was don't step on a crack or you'll break your mother's back.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then spilling salt over your left shoulder.
Yeah.
And then my mom always used to tell me if your left palm was itchy, that means that someone owes you money.
Right.
Yes. Yeah. So I was telling you guys, I do the salt over the shoulder thing. I don't know why. I just do. I'll be like, oh, I spilled some salt. All right, takes it. I'll even, and I don't know if it's just like my parents had told me, oh, you spilled the salt and then you get to put it over your shoulder or
Right.
whatever.
Well, you're told at a young age, you spilled
Right.
salt over your shoulder.
So now I just don't even think about it. I just, oh, spilled it. Okay. And then I just toss it and call it a day, but I don't
And-
think about it until somebody says something like, you
Right.
just threw some salt over your shoulder, right?
But do you know why you throw it over your left shoulder?
Why do I throw it over my left?
Because the theory is, or the superstition is, that old Scratch is sitting on your left shoulder. And by throwing salt at him, it pretty much banishes him temporarily.
Oh.
Because if you don't throw salt, then he had pretty much, I guess you'd say, curses you with bad luck for that time.
That makes sense. So I'm blinding him so that he can't throw any bad juju my way.
But it's
So
also
I can-
considered bad luck not to throw salt, because back in a Roman time, salt was currency, and to throw away salt was a bad omen. So to prevent it, you throw it over your left shoulder.
And you know that we use salt in the paranormal field to ward off evil. We put it on windowsills, thresholds of doorways to keep the evil out. And you're not supposed to break that seal, but it's kind of hard when you're got a doorway or whatever. But they also have it where you put the salt around the property to
Yep.
protect the property. So you have that as well. I didn't know about the whole the cost of it was too expensive, so they don't like wasting it.
Yep.
And then,
It was that they don't get paid money, they got paid in salt because salt was a luxury.
okay. Well, I suppose, yeah, because it's like a seasoning and stuff like that. So, you want your food to taste good, you put some salt on it.
Right.
Well,
I
I
have a
imagine they don't have fridges back then either, so it's like
No.
that's how you cured all your meats.
cured
So
your
you could,
meats.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Are there any other ones you guys can think of? I'm trying to think if I can think of any other.
Well, there's a thing on lucky pennies. They were
Yeah.
thought that
See a penny,
Romans
pick
believed
it
that,
up.
right, exactly. Romans believed that metal was very precious, and that if you found a coin, that was extremely lucky because the gods gave it to you. But here's an interesting thing I didn't even know about until recently is that if you find a penny and it's upside down and it's tails up, you're supposed to flip it over and leave it for someone else. If you take it tails up, you'll have bad luck.
Oh,
So you leave it over, you flip it over, so the next person who does find it will have good luck. So you're averting bad luck for them.
Interesting.
oh, that is interesting. See, now my dad always taught me to keep my eyes down because you never know what you're gonna find on the ground. You might
Right.
find money, but nothing about don't pick it up if it's upside down. It
Yeah, I
was
didn't know that either. I was heard,
Yeah.
find a penny, pick it up all the day, you'll have good luck.
right. And he was born during the Depression years, so he finds a penny, the man's gonna pick it up. He's not gonna
Right.
question good luck, bad luck. He doesn't care. Money is money
Right.
to him.
Right. Find a
So
penny, pick it up.
yeah, he'd always walk around, and I'm like, Dad, why do you always look down? He goes, because you don't know what you're gonna walk right over. I'm like, oh, okay. But yeah, that makes sense though that you're gonna have bad luck. So yeah, you put it. The other thing is, talking about pennies is the year. Have you guys ever heard that one?
No, I don't
That
believe
if
so.
you find a not even pennies, but just coins in general, the year might have if you find something, the year might have some significance to you. It's spirit saying that they're coming to visit you. A lot of times, when my late husband passed away, I would find coins with the year that he was born.
Huh.
So it was kind of like, here you go, you can, I'm around you or whatever. The other thing is you find coins at cemeteries for people that were in the military. They will
Yep.
leave coins at the headstones.
Yep.
And depending on what they left is how they knew the person or didn't know the person. Like they were just in the military and same branch or something like that, or they served with them, or they were in battle with them, depending. I don't remember exactly how it goes, but it was like a penny meant a certain thing all the way up to a quarter.
Hmm.
And I think the quarter was one that you were like in the same, like you were close to that person. So if you ever see coins at a tombstone, that's what they mean. Sometimes people will do that with just for family members too, and how they
Right.
knew a family
We saw a
member.
lot of that at Bachelor's Grove.
We did, yeah. And that people will leave those just as a token, like
Right.
you're not forgotten type thing.
Or sometimes isn't it like the ferry as well to pay the ferryman
Yes.
for your
Yeah.
crossing the river Styx? They have a lot of superstition along with that as well.
When my father passed away, my husband actually put, what did you put on my dad? The pennies on his eyes?
Yeah, he had whatever change he always had in his pockets.
My dad always had 43 cents in his pocket.
It was very good, 43 cents.
So yeah,
Two in the eyes.
he put 2 pennies on my dad's eyes, and then the rest he put in my dad's pocket, so that my dad always had the 43 cents, because he always said, I had 43 cents left in my pocket. That's all I had. And then obviously the man had more than that, but he always carried 43 cents. So yeah, my dad is now buried with the 43 cents, but he literally put it on my dad's eyes so that he could go with the ferryman and
Right.
cross over. Which is kind of work because I haven't seen my dad, so I think the toll was paid. But
Good thing inflation didn't hit that sector at least.
right. Not yet. It might
Right.
be coming, who knows? We don't know. But yeah, I mean, there's different things that you just don't think about that are superstitious, and you just oh, I know another one. Cars. A certain color car is more likely to get pulled over than another car.
Yep.
Or insurance. If you have a certain color car, the insurance will be higher.
Red.
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 Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, if you get a car with red versus like my car is white, the person that's got the red car is going to be, well, not always, depending on what kind of car it is, obviously. A Lamborghini is not going to get a lesser amount because it's white versus like a red Chevette. It's just not going to be the same. But yeah, it depends on the colors. That will, because they feel that the person is going to speed more or
Yeah.
is more likely to get into an accident. Another superstition. Who would have thought? Well, guys, I think we kind of got all these superstitions. Like I was saying, if anybody knows of superstitions, yeah, I can speak really well now. If anyone knows of any superstition that we have not talked about, please email us, or even on our social media, our Facebook page, our Instagram, send us a comment about it. We'd love to talk to you about it, or at least hear about it. Like we talked to Alex, and Alex told us about the baguettes that I didn't know was a thing in France. We would love to hear about that. Heather, where are we going to be this weekend?
We are going to be at the Paranormal Convention at the Irish Heritage Center in Milwaukee. And then we're going to the Utterly Haunted Barn.
Yes, we are. And that's going to be in Columbus, Wisconsin. So we're going to be at the Milwaukee Paracon from 9 till 5, which is at that Irish Heritage Heritage and Cultural Center. And then we'll be in Columbus at the Utterly Terrifying Tales at the Haunted Barn. We'll be there from 4 to 9 this Saturday, the 19th.
Almost a 13-hour day.
Almost. Hey. Well, we got our drive time in too, so it might
16
be.
then.
Overshot.
I killed it.
Yeah, you'll have a chance to come out and see us, and talk with us there as well. The Paracon is free. They do ask that you register at www.milwaukeeparacon.com. That's just so that they can make sure that they've got enough bingo cards for people. They're going to be doing a paranormal bingo, which will be at 5 p.m. So they ask that you register, but it's free of charge. They just want to make sure they got a name to go with a bingo card. But yeah, you can come out and see us and say hello and maybe take a picture with us too. Then the Utterly Terrifying Tales, we're going to be doing a little Q&A. So you can go through the terrifying barn, the haunted barn, get your pants scared off of you, and then you come down by us and we'll settle you back down, tell you some little stories. If you got questions about the paranormal, we'll be there to answer any questions that you might have. But yeah, it sounds like we're going to have a great time. We're going to be busy. Bella's telling me that it is time to go, right, Belle? Yep. Bella's saying it's time to go. It's that time. All right, for our skeptics, keep us grounded. For our believers, keep believing. I'm Kathy. This is Wicked Darkness with CK. Until next time, goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.